Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you. From Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha, our Mashiach, his son. Hear, O Yasharal. Yahuwah, our mighty one, is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you the laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments of Yahuwah. And we're starting today from Deuteronomy chapter 28, and this is part 1. Okay, so we know from chapter 27, they were aware of the curses. We know they got the blessing part down packed, right? We always pay attention to the blessings. But the Father made sure that the fine print was revealed to them. What did they say? Okay, Father, we'll do it. We agree. As they were passing over the Jordan, 6 tribes on one side to give the blessing, 6 tribes on the other to give the curses, the Levites in the middle, screaming to the top of their lungs, telling them the curses. What was the sum? The summary of all the curses. Whoever does not strengthen or ratify these commandments is cursed. So when you hear people say that I'm blessed, too blessed to be stressed, and all of this stuff, and they're not keeping the Father's laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments, now you know for a surety they are lying to you because they are cursed. How do we know that? That's what your Father said. Who are you going to believe? The person who is in a strong delusion, believing a lie, living in the matrix, or the master of the universe who has created all things? So now they've crossed over. They know the promises. They know the curses. Now the Father is going to speak to them again and tell them what they're going to receive for being diligent in keeping his ways. Let's begin. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 to 2. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahuwah thy mighty one, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that Yahuwah thy mighty one will set thee high above all nations of the earth. Remember, the promise is connected to an action. Can you separate the promise from the action? You cannot. If you do that, the contract is void. You have to keep them both together. You don't get the promise without the action. This kills Christianity altogether, brothers and sisters. Everything that this Bible teaches is based on these events. It's not based on Christianity and Rome and all of the things that we have learned today. It's based on this: the promise and the action, the curse and the action. Verse 2, and all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahuwah thy mighty one. These blessings are going to be so powerful and so swift that even if you try to run away from them, they will overtake thee. Verse 3, blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Wherever you make your habitation, you shall be above all people. $45 million? That's a kick in the bucket for us, right? Our Father owns the earth, the cattle on 1,000 hills. The gold and the silver is his. Your habitation shall be nothing but top of the line. When you're in the fields, your crops will be in abundance. You're going to need more tractor trailers, more of these, whatever you call them, harvesters, than this. Verse 4, Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Your babies will be healthy, melanated, no vaccines, no disease. Your grounds shall flourish. As far as the eye can see, you will see nothing but wheat. Thy cattle shall be in abundance. They'll pop out little babies constantly. Every year, they will not drop their load. Uh-oh. My friend here is saying, what is wrong with you guys? Why is it that you can't get it right? Keep the commandments. We are awaiting you. They're poisoning us. The water is tainted with chemicals. We don't have good grazing land. When you come back, you're going to lead us into the Garden of Eden, and we await your presence. Because the flocks of your sheep shall be in abundance. Just think, when you come out of your house and you have land, and you walk out to the field and you call, and all of them come running. The whole flock. They come running to you because they're happy to see you. This is how it's going to be, brothers and sisters. This habitation that we're looking forward to is far above the quality of life that we have here in America. This is absolutely nothing compared to this. Verse 5. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Remember, you have to bring that basket before the Levites when you have your first harvest. And then you set it before Yahuwah and you make your vow. Whatever fruit or whatever it is that you want to grow, it shall be in abundance. You see this little hairy thing here? My wife loves these things. I forgot what they're called, some kind of urchin or ancient or something. Mandushan, Rasputin. That's the name, Rasputin. Sounds like Satan or something. She loves these little hairy, ugly fruit. And they are so expensive, $5 per pound. And the Father's going to give you an abundance beyond anything that you can imagine. Only if you will keep his commandments. What about your storehouse? Remember all the tractors? Let's say this is the first tractor coming in to dump. Now you have all of those tractors that are going to keep coming in on a constant basis until this storehouse is so full. Then you have to start thinking and strategizing. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to have to build more storehouses. We may be the source of all of the food and grain in the world. Remember, Egypt was the source in the ancient days. Could it return back into our hands? Verse 6. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. Don't you want to come into something like this? A mansion. A beautiful mansion. More room than you really even need. But the Father says that this is what he has prepared for you. Look at the battlement on the top. You remember the railing? You're supposed to build a battlement on the top of your house so that no one falls off and dies, and the slayer does not come looking for you because innocent blood was shed on your property. We're going to be prepared to follow everything that the Father says to do. John chapter 14, verse 1 to 4. Listen to what our Mashiach said about this issue, about your mansion. Let not your heart be troubled. Ye believe in the Mighty One, believe also in me, 'cause he sent me Verse 2. In my Father's house are many mansions. Whose house is it? Is it Yahusha's house? Is it Jesus' house? He said, in my Father's house there are many mansions. Look, if it were not so, I would have told you. If you weren't going to get a mansion, if you were just going to get a little house or something, I would have told you that. I go to prepare a place for you. Where is that going to be? In heaven? In the sky? Like the church teaches you? No, that place is going to be the promised land, brothers and sisters. Verse 3, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again, the second time, and receive you unto myself. Gather all of the elect of Yasharal, that where I am, in the promised land, there ye may be also. Verse 4, and whither I go, ye know, and the way ye know. What was the way? He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. You need that sacrifice that he made when he shed his blood at Passover. That is the atonement for your sins. Then he taught the law. He never abolished it. He taught nothing but law, brothers and sisters. So after you accept this sacrifice, then you have to keep the law. If you want the promise, what was the promise? In my Father's house are many mansions. What about when you go out? Well, I'm going to ride through my cornfields today just to check on the workers and see how things are going. Well, you know, the car that I have to drive, it's probably electric by then, but this is the lowest level car that I own, a Bentley. This is like a little SUV or something to me. It won't seem so special in the kingdom because the Father has given you such an abundance. Verse 7, Yahuwah shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. No one will be able to stand against us. Verse 8, Yahuwah shall command a blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thy hand unto. And he shall bless thee in the land which Yahuwah thy mighty one giveth thee. It's all about the land, brothers and sisters. It's not about floating in the clouds. Verse 9, Yahuwah shall establish thee an holy people unto himself, as he hath sworn unto thee. He has sworn. He cannot lie. If he says it, it must come to pass. But look at the stipulation here. If thou shalt keep the commandments of Yahuwah thy mighty one, and walk in his ways. Remember the Mashiach says, walk as I walk. If you remember how he walked, the Bible consistently tells you that he led a sinless life. Verse 10, and all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Yahuwah, and they shall be afraid of thee. Of course they're going to be afraid of thee. After he comes to get you and everyone who does not bend the knee, they will be wiped off the face of the earth. Once the countries see one nation get wiped off the face of the earth, they will all be afraid of you. Verse 11, and Yahuwah shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which Yahuwah sware unto thy fathers to give thee. Do you see how he always repeats himself? Because we are people who forget so quickly. He could say it 2 or 3 seconds. Just look at your children. You could tell them something 2 or 3 minutes ago, and you come back, you say, didn't I tell you to make that bet? Oh, I forgot. This is how we as adults are no different than these children. Verse 12, Yahuwah shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. Look at the land today. Do you see this is a map of Africa? I want you to understand that the place that they call the Middle East is Northeast Africa. Look at it yourself. The big body of land is the main part of Africa. Then that little swap on the side there looks like pure desert. That is the promised land that the Father has given to us. Now the Father's given us desert? Listen, he said that when we return, this land is desolate right now. He said when we return, he's going to give this rain, this treasure that's going to come from heaven. There shall be rivers flowing. The land shall be green, just like in the middle of the continent here. You see how green everything was? The Father says he's going to do the same in the promised land. It shall be a garden of Eden. You shall lend unto many nations. Are we going to lend paper money? No, we're not. Every standard shall change. Everything will be like it's supposed to be from the beginning. You will be so rich and have such an abundance, you may even make your toilet bowl gold. What about the silver? He said, the gold and the silver is mine, the cattle on 1,000 hills. The land belongs to Yahuwah, and because you are an heir to the kingdom, it belongs to you. Look at this. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22. A good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children. Look at the end. And the wealth of the sinner, the wicked, the transgressor of the law, is laid up for the just. Who do you think that is? The Father has stored this abundance. It's all for you. It is awaiting you to return. Return to what? His laws, statutes, judgments, commandments, the covenant, the contract. Once you start to keep it again, you have broken the curse. Now, let's pull out this Christianity mentality, because this is what we do. In Christianity, they draw you in by saying, oh, you're going to be rich, you're going to have this, you're going to have that, he's going to supply all your needs, all of these things. This is not connected to those things. All of your promises are connected to that land. The Father wants you to store up your treasures where moth and rust does not come in and destroy them. That's going to be in the promised land, brothers and sisters. You need to start doing your work now and storing up your treasures. Stop thinking it's here. It's not. Stop being pulled into this matrix where you believe that this is real life. This is some type of fantasy world. You own nothing. The money is worth nothing. You run around every day working hard to get what? Nothing. But this is all we know. Verse 13, and Yahuwah shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. Do you know why you will not be beneath? Because you're under contract. If you keep these commandments, the Father's going to make you above all people upon the earth. There shall be no one who is equal to thee. If thou, here we go again. The commandment, the promises, everything that he is going to give to you is connected to an action. What action is that? If thou hearken unto the commandments of Yahuwah, thy mighty one, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them, all people shall bow to thee. You'll be the head and not the tail. We wouldn't be bowing to them anymore. All people upon the earth shall bow to us. We'll be above and not beneath. This is Idi Amin. In Africa, the strong man. This is why the Europeans tried to taint his name, make you think that he was eating flesh of people. You know, this is what the Europeans do with their campaign. That's their strategy. They always try to destroy the character of those who are more powerful than them. Idi Amin had them to bow down before him and pledge allegiance to his government on their knees. This shall come full circle. Queen Elizabeth, Prince Philip, here they are bowing before the real, original African royalty. Empress Menen Asfar and her husband, Emperor Rastafari Makonnen Wulde Haile Selassie I of Ethiopia. Man, what a name. Look at what it says on the bottom. As far as known, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip have never bowed before anybody else. Now remember, Haile Selassie is supposed to descend from Solomon. They're supposed to be able to trace their roots all the way back to the Queen of Sheba, who went into the Promised Land and supposedly had a baby by King Solomon. I said supposedly because I can't prove it. Now, this is supposed to be the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He is not. We can say that with a surety. Why do we say that? Because the Father says, we shall not have any power in our hands in these days. He is not the Mashiach. Some of the Jamaicans worship him as the Mashiach. They say that he is the second coming of the Mashiach or the Messiah. Obviously, they didn't read the scripture because they would know what the Mashiach would do. But what I wanted to show you here in this picture is the Europeans bowing before black royalty in Africa. Just so that you can get an idea of what's going to happen when you return to the kingdom. These photos are very rare to find white people bowing before melanated people. Get used to this if you make it to the kingdom. If thou shalt only keep all these laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments in which he has given us today. Verse 14. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left. You can't do things from the imagination of your own mind. I understand it's very hard. We're not used to following instructions. You have to change your mind and your attitude. We're not going to be under European law. It's going to be under Yahuwah law. Yahuwah law is absolute, brothers and sisters. You can't change anything. To go after other gods to serve them. Well, exactly what he said not to do. Did not the Yisraelites, the Israelites, did they not do this? Every law our ancestors violated, we are beginning to return to the ways of this law. We keep all of the things that we can. We can't do the judgments. We're in the laws of our captivity. So you can't carry out judgment here. But everything that you can do to apply, do it. You have to keep the Sabbaths. You can do that. You have to keep the feast days. You can do that. You're not to serve any other gods. You can do that. You're not to make any graven images. You can do that. You have to learn these laws, statutes, judgments, commandments. You can do that. You have to apply them. You can do that. We cannot keep making excuses. Excuses are for losers. I used to tell my students that if you come into the class and you're not prepared and you have an excuse that the dog ate your homework or whatever you want to come with, you're a loser. And I used to tell them that right off the top. In the real world, you cannot go out making excuses. You have to overcome whatever stumbling block is put in your way. You have to overcome it. You have to fight to keep these commandments. Witchcraft tube is against you. When you go to work, everyone at work wants you to go outside of what you believe. They want you to dress like them, talk like them. And when you don't do that, guess what? They hate you even more. Why? Because you're not a sinner. You're different. You're peculiar. You are strange. You are supposed to be. If you look like the world, you're not keeping his commandments. Continue to part 2. Shalom.